I've been calm my whole life. People mistake that for weakness. My son certainly did. His name is Derek. 28 years old, founder of some tech startup I don't pretend to understand, and lately he's decided that his old man is the perfect punching bag for his ego. I'm 52. I supervise warehouse operations at Midwest Logistics. I've done it for 23 years. I wear steel-toed boots to work. My hands are calloused. I don't talk much, and when I do, people usually listen. Except Derek. It was a Thursday evening when everything changed. My wife Linda and I drove to his townhouse in the nice part of the city, the kind of place where every lawn looks professionally maintained, and every car in the driveway costs more than I make in a year. Derek and his wife Vanessa were hosting what he called a team dinner for his startup employees. 12 people total, all of them young, all of them dressed in that casual, expensive way that screams, "I made it." Linda squeezed my hand as we walked up to the door. She's 49, works in corporate quality auditing, and she's the smartest person I've ever met. She knew something was wrong before we even went inside. "Just breathe," she whispered. "Remember why we're here?" I nodded. Family. That's why we were there. Because Derek invited us. Because he's our son. The townhouse was all open concept and exposed brick. Industrial chic, they call it. I call it pretentious. Derek greeted us at the door with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mom, Dad, glad you could make it." He hugged Linda but gave me a handshake. Cold, formal. Like I was a business associate he barely tolerated. Vanessa appeared behind him, all teeth and perfume. 27 years old with blonde hair that cost more to maintain than my monthly mortgage payment. She kissed Linda's cheek and gave me a smile that was pure calculation. "So wonderful to see you both," she said in that sing-song voice she used when she wanted something. "Derek's been so excited to have you here tonight." I doubted that, but I kept my mouth shut. The dining table was long and modern, made of reclaimed wood that probably cost a fortune. Everyone was already seated. Young faces, ambitious eyes, the kind of people who talk about disrupting markets and synergizing solutions without a trace of irony. Linda and I took the 2 empty seats at the far end, away from Derek, who sat at the head like a king holding court. Dinner started normally enough. Conversation flowed around us. Tech jargon I didn't understand mixed with inside jokes I wasn't part of. Linda made polite small talk with the woman next to her. I ate my overpriced salmon and kept quiet. Then Derek decided to educate me. "So, Dad," he said loudly, cutting through the conversation. Everyone turned to look. "I was telling the team about your work at the warehouse. They were fascinated." I felt Linda's hand find mine under the table, a warning. "Were they?" I said flatly. "Absolutely." Derek leaned back in his chair, wine glass in hand, that smile getting wider. "I think it's important for them to understand different perspectives, different levels of business, you know?" One of the younger guys, maybe 25 with thick-framed glasses, nodded eagerly. "Totally. Ground-level operations are super important." "Exactly," Derek said. He turned his full attention to me. "Dad, why don't you explain to everyone what you do? I think it would be really educational." The table had gone quiet. Everyone was watching. Vanessa had her phone out, angling it slightly toward me. Recording this. For her Instagram stories probably, or whatever platform she used to broadcast her perfect life. "I supervise warehouse operations," I said simply. Not much to explain. "Come on, don't be modest." Derek's voice had taken on that patronizing tone, the one you use with children or people you think are stupid. "Walk us through it. How do you, manage inventory, track shipments? It's probably more complex than people think." He was doing this on purpose, making me explain my job to a room full of college-educated startup employees like I was some kind of museum exhibit. Look at the working-class man, kids. See how he survives without an MBA. Linda's grip on my hand tightened. We receive shipments, I said slowly. We log them, we store them, we ship them out when ordered. It's logistics. Right, but how do you track everything? Derek pressed. Do you use software, spreadsheets, or is it more manual? Someone snickered. I saw Vanessa smile behind her phone. We use a warehouse management system, I said, integrated with the company's ERP platform, real-time inventory tracking, automated reorder points, RFID scanning for high-value items. That should have shut him up. It didn't. Wow, that's great, Dad. I'm glad you're learning about technology. It's so important in today's world, even for traditional industries. He turned to his team. See, this is what I mean about adaptability. Even older generations can learn new skills if they apply themselves. If he talked any slower, he'd need subtitles. The table laughed. Polite, careful laughter, the kind that says, "We know we're supposed to find this funny, but we're not sure why." Derek wasn't done. He spent the next 15 minutes explaining basic business concepts to me. Market dynamics, supply chain optimization, customer relationship management, things I'd been doing for 2 decades while he was still in diapers. He talked to me like I was 5 years old, breaking down simple concepts into even simpler terms, checking after each point to make sure I understood. "Does that make sense, Dad?" he'd ask. "Or should I explain it differently?" "I understand," I'd say. "Great. Because I know this stuff can be complicated for people who aren't in the business world." I wasn't in the business world. I was in the working world. There's a difference. Vanessa kept her phone trained on me, capturing every humiliating moment. A few of the employees looked uncomfortable, but none of them said anything. Why would they? Derek was their boss. He signed their paychecks. If he wanted to humiliate his father, they'd smile and nod and pretend it was normal. Linda's hand was white-knuckled around mine. I could feel her anger radiating through her palm, hot and barely contained. But she said nothing. We both said nothing. Finally, mercifully, Derek moved on to other topics. Quarterly projections, investor meetings, the kind of talk that let everyone forget about the old man at the end of the table who'd just been talked down to like a child. We left as soon as it was polite to do so. Derek walked us to the door with Vanessa attached to his arm like an expensive accessory. "Thanks for coming," he said. "It was really great having you here. Educational for everyone." "Yes," Vanessa added, her smile sharp as glass. "You should be so proud of Derek. He's accomplished so much." "Unlike you," her tone implied. In the car, Linda waited until we were 3 blocks away before she exploded. "That little bastard," she hissed. "That smug, entitled little bastard." I drove in silence. "Did you hear how he talked to you? Like you were some kind of idiot who stumbled into a warehouse job because you couldn't do anything else." She was shaking. "And that witch filming you being humiliated by your own son." "I heard," I said quietly. "So what are we going to do about it?" I pulled into our driveway. Our house is small, built in the 70s, nothing fancy, but it's paid off. We own it outright. No debt, no pretension, just home. "Nothing," I said. Linda stared at me. "Nothing?" "Tonight, we do nothing." I turned off the engine and looked at her. "But tomorrow we start planning." Her anger shifted into something else, something calculating. She'd worked in quality auditing for 15 years, finding flaws in systems, identifying weaknesses, recommending corrections. She was good at seeing what others missed. "Planning what?" she asked. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Something he'll never see coming." Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? Our kitchen is small. Yellow linoleum floors from the 80s that we keep meaning to replace but never do. White cabinets that have been repainted twice. a round wooden table with 4 chairs where Linda and I have eaten breakfast together for 25 years. That night, we sat at that table until 2 in the morning. Linda had her laptop open, fingers flying across the keyboard, pulling up documents and spreadsheets and browser tabs. She worked like she always did when solving a problem, methodically, ruthlessly, without emotion clouding her judgment. "Okay," she said finally. "I need to show you something." She turned the laptop toward me. On the screen was a series of text messages, screenshots from her phone. Group chat with her sister and Derek. I started reading. "Derek, Mom and Dad are really holding us back financially. I know you understand, Aunt Julie. They don't get it. They never will." Julie: "What do you mean holding you back?" Derek: "Dad's warehouse salary barely covers their own expenses. They have nothing saved. Mom's job is okay, but not enough to help us. Meanwhile, Vanessa and I are trying to build something real, and every time we ask for support, they act like we're asking for the moon." Julie: "Your parents have always been careful with money. That's not the same as not supporting you." Derek: "It's exactly the same. Old-fashioned thinking. They don't understand modern business. Honestly, if they weren't so stubborn about living within their means, maybe they could actually contribute something to the family instead of being a drain." I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. "Keep going," Linda said softly. I scrolled down. Vanessa had joined the conversation. Vanessa: "Julie, I love Derek's parents, but he's right. They're stuck in this blue-collar mentality that's just not realistic anymore. We're trying to raise capital for the startup, and Derek's father drives a truck from 2008. Do you know how that looks to investors? Like we come from nothing, like we don't have family support." Derek: "Exactly. Image matters in this business. I've had to distance myself from them professionally. It's embarrassing." Julie: "That seems harsh, Derek." Derek: "It's reality. Dad works in a warehouse. He'll never understand what we're building, and honestly, at this point, we've just accepted that we can't count on them for anything." The conversation went on. More complaints, more dismissals, more casual cruelty wrapped in business jargon. My son, talking about me like I was some kind of burden he had to manage, some embarrassment he had to hide from his important friends. "How long?" I asked. 3 months, Linda said. "This has been going on for 3 months. He's been telling the whole family that we're holding him back. Your brother knows. My parents know. Everyone knows except us." I pushed the laptop away, stood up, walked to the window and stared out at our backyard. Nothing fancy. Just grass and a fence and the neighbor's shed that needs painting. "There's more," Linda said. "Of course there is." She pulled up another document. Bank statements, financial records, things she'd gotten access to through her auditing work and some creative searching. "Derek and Vanessa took out a loan 6 months ago," she said. $50,000. They used your credit history as part of the application, listed you as a co-signer without your knowledge. I turned around. "What?" "It's called parallel credit building. Technically legal if they can prove family relationship and mutual benefit, which is a gray area. But they did it. Used your 23 years of perfect credit to secure better terms. The loan officer probably didn't verify the signature too carefully. That's fraud. Probably. But proving it would require legal action, and do you really want to sue your own son?" She closed the laptop. "That's not even the worst part." "What's the worst part?" 3 weeks ago, Derek called your boss, had a conversation about you, about your stability, and whether the company had considered succession planning for your position. He implied you were having difficulties, personal issues. Nothing specific, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. My boss. Derek had called my boss. At Midwest Logistics, where I'd worked without incident for 23 years, where I had a perfect safety record and had trained half the current supervisors, my son had called and tried to undermine me. I sat back down. Linda reached across the table and took my hand. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we should talk to him, work it out, be the bigger people. That's what you're supposed to do, I said. With family. No. Her voice was hard. That's what you do with family who respects you, who loves you, who doesn't talk about you like you're garbage behind your back while smiling to your face. She squeezed my hand. Derek doesn't respect you. He spent months destroying your reputation, using your credit, humiliating you publicly. And tonight, he put the final touch on it by treating you like an idiot in front of his employees. So what do we do? Linda smiled. It was her dangerous smile, the one I'd seen her use at work when she'd found a critical flaw in a system and knew exactly how to expose it. We make him regret it, she said, but not the way he'd expect. Not loud, not obvious. We do it quietly, carefully, and completely. I'm listening. First, we gather everything, every text, every loan document, every conversation he's had about you. We document it all. Then what? Then we invite him to dinner. A big dinner. A banquet. Her eyes were bright. And we show him exactly what happens when you underestimate your father. I thought about it. Derek thought I was simple, uneducated, a warehouse worker who didn't understand the complex world of business and technology. He'd built his entire self-image on being smarter than me, more successful, more important. He was about to learn different. When? I asked. Soon, but first we need leverage. Linda opened her laptop again. I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to audit my son's life. And when I'm done, we'll know every weakness, every lie, every corner he's cut. Then we'll use it all. She wasn't joking. Over the next week, Linda worked like a woman possessed. She called in favors from colleagues. She cross-referenced public records. She traced financial documents and business filings and social media posts. She built a timeline of Derek's startup, his funding sources, his business relationships. What she found was damning. Derek's startup was barely holding together. His primary investor was pulling out. His business model had fundamental flaws that any decent auditor could spot in minutes. He'd been covering losses with creative accounting and empty promises. And Vanessa. Sweet, image-obsessed Vanessa had her own secrets. A previous marriage she'd never disclosed. Debt collectors looking for her under a previous name. A pattern of using men for their connections and money before moving on. They were both frauds, successful-looking frauds, but frauds nonetheless. This is enough to destroy them, Linda said on the 7th night. We could expose all of this, ruin them. But we won't, I said. No. She closed her laptop with a soft click. We'll do something better. We'll make them destroy themselves. The plan came together over the next 3 days. It was simple, elegant, and cruel. Everything a good revenge should be. I would throw a banquet, a big one, at the community hall where I used to volunteer before my schedule got too busy. I'd tell Derek it was an apology dinner, a way to make up for being difficult and not understanding his success. I'd invite him and Vanessa as guests of honor. What I wouldn't tell him was who else would be there. Linda handled the guest list while I handled logistics. She reached out to people Derek had burned, former business partners he'd screwed over, employees he'd fired unfairly, friends he'd used and discarded, the mentor from college who'd helped Derek get started and then been cut out of the company without compensation, every person Derek thought he'd buried safely in his past. We told them the same thing. Derek wanted to make amends. He'd asked us to organize a gathering where he could apologize and hopefully repair some bridges. It was a lie, of course. Derek didn't want to make amends. Derek didn't even know these people would be there, but they believed us. Because we were his parents. Because they assumed we shared his values. Because they wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, Derek had grown a conscience. Meanwhile, I prepared the banquet space. The community hall had seen better days, but it was still serviceable. I rented tables and chairs, arranged for catering from a decent local restaurant, made everything look professional and planned. Derek agreed to come immediately when I called him. "A dinner?" he said. His voice had that same patronizing tone from before. "For me?" "For you and Vanessa," I said. "To celebrate your success. I realize I haven't been as supportive as I should be. I want to make up for that." There was a pause. Then, "Well, it's about time, Dad. I'm glad you're finally understanding how important my work is." "I understand completely," I said. "Good. Vanessa will be thrilled. She's always saying we should have more family events that showcase our achievements." "I'm sure she'll enjoy it," I said. He would have heard the edge in my voice if he'd been paying attention. But Derek never paid attention to me. I was just the old man who finally learned his place. The banquet was scheduled for Friday night, 6 days away. Linda and I spent those 6 days in careful preparation. She finalized the guest list and confirmed attendance. I handled the physical setup and made sure everything would look exactly right. We didn't talk about what would happen after. We didn't need to. Some things are better when they're spontaneous. On Thursday night, the night before the banquet, Linda and I sat in our kitchen one last time. "Last chance to back out," she said. "I'm not backing out. He's our son. He stopped being our son when he decided we were worthless." I looked at her. "You don't have to be part of this. You could stay home tomorrow night." Linda laughed. It was a sharp sound, without humor. "Are you kidding? I've been planning this for 2 weeks. I wouldn't miss it for anything." "He'll hate us after." "He already hates us. He just hasn't been honest about it yet." She was right. Derek had been lying to us for months. Years, probably. Pretending to care while secretly despising everything we represented. At least after tomorrow night, the pretending would stop. "Okay then," I said. "Let's do this." Friday morning, I woke up early. Linda was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with her coffee. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready." We drove to the community hall at noon to do the final setup. The caterers arrived at 2. The guests started showing up at 5:30. Derek and Vanessa were scheduled to arrive at 6. By 5:45, the hall was full. 23 people total, all of them nursing old wounds from Derek's climb to success. They mingled awkwardly, united by their shared experience of being used and discarded by my son. Linda stood next to me near the entrance. "Here we go," she said. The door opened. Derek walked in with Vanessa on his arm, both of them dressed like they were attending a gala. Derek in an expensive suit. Vanessa in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. They were smiling. Derek saw me, and his smile widened. "Dad, this is... wow. You really went all out." "Only the best for my son," I said. Vanessa kissed my cheek. "This is so sweet. Derek said you wanted to celebrate his success. It's about time the family recognized everything he's accomplished." "Oh, we recognize it," Linda said. Her voice was pure honey. "Come in. Meet the other guests." Derek walked into the hall. His smile died. The call came at 2 in the morning, both our phones ringing simultaneously. Emergency alert sound that jerks you out of sleep with your heart pounding. I grabbed my phone. Unknown number. Linda grabbed hers. Same. We answered at the same time. "Mom? Dad?" Derek's voice, slurred, wrong. "I need help." Linda put hers on speaker. "Derek, where are you?" "Somewhere. I don't know, everything's gone. Everything." He was crying, full-on sobbing. "Vanessa left me, took everything. The apartment's gone. My bank accounts are frozen. I have nothing." Part of me felt satisfaction. This was what he deserved. He'd destroyed people's lives without remorse, and now karma was destroying his. But part of me, a small, stubborn part, still remembered teaching him to ride a bike, reading him bedtime stories, carrying him on my shoulders through the park. "Where are you?" I asked. "Downtown, near the river. There's a bridge." His voice was barely a whisper. "I don't know what to do anymore. near the river. There's a bridge. The words hung in the air with terrible implication. Linda looked at me. I saw the conflict in her eyes. He'd hurt us, betrayed us, tried to destroy our lives, but he was still our son. "Stay on the phone," Linda said. "Don't move. We're coming." We drove fast. Maybe too fast. The streets were empty at 2 a.m., nothing but streetlights and closed storefronts. Linda had Derek on speaker, talking to him continuously, keeping him engaged. "Tell me what happened with Vanessa," she said. "She took everything, my car, my laptop, the business files, even my clothes. Just left a note saying she was done, that I was pathetic." He laughed, bitter and broken. "She's right. I am pathetic." "You're not pathetic," Linda said automatically, then caught herself. "You made mistakes, bad ones, but you're not pathetic. I destroyed everything you and Dad built, everything you tried to teach me." His voice cracked. "I'm exactly what you said I was, a fraud, a parasite, someone who takes and never gives." I drove faster. The bridge came into view, old steel construction spanning the river, pedestrian walkway along one side. I saw a figure standing near the railing, tall, alone. Derek. I parked badly, didn't care. Linda and I ran. Derek saw us coming. He was leaning against the railing, phone in hand, staring down at the dark water below. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, hadn't showered, hadn't eaten. His expensive clothes were wrinkled and dirty. "You came," he said. Surprised. "Of course we came," Linda said. "You're our son." "I thought you hated me." "We did. We do." I stepped closer carefully. "But we also love you, even when we hate you." Derek laughed again. That same broken sound. "How does that work?" "That's being a parent," Linda said. "You don't get to stop loving someone just because they hurt you." "I hurt you. A lot. On purpose." Derek looked at me. "I called your boss. Tried to get you fired. I said terrible things about you to the family." "I know. I used your credit. Lied about you. Humiliated you at that dinner." His hands were shaking. "Why did you come? Why don't you just let me jump?" "Because you're not jumping," I said firmly. "You're going to step away from that railing. You're going to come home with us. And tomorrow, you're going to start fixing the mess you made." "There's nothing to fix. It's all gone." "Then you'll build something new. Something real this time. Without lies. Without using people." Linda held out her hand. "Come on, Derek. Step away." He looked at her hand, then at me, then down at the water. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Derek stepped back from the railing. Linda grabbed him and held on tight. Derek collapsed into her arms, sobbing like he was 5 years old again. I put my arms around both of them, and we stood there on the bridge while my son fell completely apart. We took him home. Not to our house. Derek wasn't ready for that. We took him to a hotel, paid for a room for a week, made sure he had food and basic necessities. "Get clean," I told him. "Get sleep. Then we'll talk about what comes next." "I don't deserve this," Derek said. "I don't deserve your help." "Probably not," I agreed. "But you're getting it anyway." We left him there. In the car, Linda was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "Are we doing the right thing?" "I don't know. But leaving him on that bridge felt wrong. He tried to destroy us." "Yeah, he did." I pulled into our driveway. The mailbox was still broken, the window still cracked, physical reminders of what Derek had done. But maybe this is the bottom. Maybe he needed to lose everything to understand what he had. Or maybe we're being stupid and giving him another chance to hurt us. Maybe. We went inside, made coffee even though it was 4 in the morning, sat at our kitchen table and tried to process everything. "I don't forgive him," Linda said finally. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I couldn't let him jump off that bridge. Me either. So what now? Now we see if Derek can actually change, if he can take responsibility for what he's done, If he can build something real instead of just stealing and lying, Linda nodded. And if he can't, then we walk away for good. The next few days were strange. Derek stayed at the hotel, called us once a day to check in, didn't ask for money or help, just called to say he was okay. On day 3, he asked to meet, not at our house, not at his hotel, neutral ground, a coffee shop downtown. Linda and I arrived first, got our usual orders, waited. Derek walked in 10 minutes later. He'd showered, changed clothes, still looked exhausted but cleaner, more present. He sat down across from us. "I've been thinking," he said, "about everything. What I did, why I did it, and I think I understand now." "Understand what?" I asked. "I was trying to prove I was better than you, that I'd accomplished more, that I'd risen above the working-class life you lived." He looked at his hands. "I was ashamed of where I came from, of you, and instead of dealing with that shame, I turned it into contempt, made you the problem instead of facing my own insecurity." Linda sipped her coffee, said nothing. "I know this doesn't fix anything," Derek continued. "I know saying I'm sorry doesn't undo the damage, but I need you to know that I understand what I did was wrong. Not just tactically wrong, morally wrong. I hurt people who trusted me. I destroyed relationships for profit. I turned into someone I don't recognize." "So what are you going to do about it?" I asked. "I don't know yet. My reputation is destroyed. Vanessa's gone. I'm basically starting over from zero." He met my eyes. "But I want to do it right this time. Without lies. Without using people. Actually earning respect instead of demanding it." "That's going to be hard," Linda said. "Yeah. People won't forget what you did. I know. Some of them will never forgive you. I know that too." She leaned back in her chair, studying him. "Why should we believe you? You've lied to us for months, years probably. How do we know this isn't just another manipulation?" "You don't," Derek said simply. "I can't prove it with words. I can only prove it with actions. And that's going to take time." I looked at Linda. She looked at me. We'd been married long enough to have entire conversations with just eye contact. "Okay," I said. "Here's the deal. You want to rebuild? Fine. But you do it honestly. You apologize to everyone you hurt. You make amends where possible. You take responsibility for every lie and every betrayal. No excuses, no justifications, just honest accountability. And if I do that, then maybe eventually we can have a relationship again. Not like before, but something new. Something based on who you actually are instead of who you pretended to be." Derek nodded slowly. "What about the banquet? All those people?" "Start with Jack," Linda said. "He co-founded the company with you. He deserves the first apology. Then Karen, then Professor Mitchell. Work your way through the list. Some of them won't want to hear from me. Then you respect that and leave them alone. Apologies are for the person you hurt, not for making yourself feel better." We finished our coffee. Derek walked us to our car. "Thank you," he said, "for coming to the bridge, for not giving up on me completely." "We're your parents," Linda said. "That's what we do, even when you make it really hard." He smiled, small, sad, but genuine. We drove home. Linda was quiet. "Do you think he'll actually do it?" I asked. "The apologies? Taking responsibility?" "I don't know. Maybe. Probably not." She looked out the window. "But at least he's not on that bridge anymore." "Yeah. That has to count for something." "Yeah." We didn't hear from Derek for 2 weeks. Then one day, Jack called me. "Your son came by," Jack said. "Apologized. Actually apologized with specifics about what he did wrong and how it hurt me. Didn't ask for forgiveness. Didn't make excuses. Just said he was sorry and left." "How'd you take it?" "Honestly, I was shocked. But appreciated, I guess. Doesn't change what he did, but at least he's acknowledging it." Thanks for telling me. Yeah, thought you should know. Over the next month, I got similar calls. Karen, Professor Mitchell, other people from the banquet. Derek was working through the list, apologizing, taking responsibility. Not everyone accepted it. Some told him to go to hell, but he kept going. My HR investigation concluded. No evidence of the complaints. I was cleared to return to work with a formal apology from the company for the disruption. Phil called me personally. Sorry about all that. We knew it was garbage, but we had to follow procedure. I understand. Your son's still causing problems? Actually, no. I think he might be learning. Good. People can change. Not often, but it happens. Linda and I slowly started putting our lives back together. Fixed the mailbox, replaced the window, returned to normal routines. Derek got a job, not a startup, not a prestigious position, just a regular job at a marketing firm, entry level. He worked hard, kept his head down, didn't talk about his past. 3 months after the bridge, he called and asked if he could come over for dinner. Just dinner, he said. No expectations. I'd like to see you both. Linda and I discussed it, decided to let him come. That Thursday, Derek showed up at our door with flowers, cheap ones from the grocery store, not the expensive arrangements he used to buy. He looked different, thinner, tired, humbler. We ate spaghetti, made small talk. It was awkward, stilted, but not hostile. I got fired from the marketing firm, Derek said over dessert. They found out about my history, about the startup. Someone from the banquet recognized me and told management. I'm sorry, Linda said. Don't be. They had every right to fire me. I lied on my application, didn't disclose the lawsuits and complaints. He shrugged. I'll find something else, something where I can be honest about my past. That's going to be hard, I said. Everything's hard now, but that's okay. I deserve hard. After dinner, he helped us wash dishes. Then he left. No drama, no demands. Just a quiet evening. That was weird, Linda said after he was gone. Yeah. Do you think he's really changing? Maybe. Or maybe he's just gotten better at manipulation. Pessimist. Realist. But over the next 6 months, Derek kept showing up. Once a month, sometimes twice, never asking for money, never making demands, just trying to rebuild some kind of relationship. He found a new job. Warehouse work, actually. Different company, but similar work to what I did. He seemed to like it. It's honest, he said one evening. I show up, I do the work. I go home, no games, no politics, just labor and paycheck. Sounds familiar, I said. Yeah, I get why you like it now. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe never. But it was something. A small bridge being built between us. Fragile, uncertain. But there. One Saturday, Derek showed up unannounced. Linda and I were working in the yard. He helped us rake leaves without being asked. I need to tell you something, he said after an hour of quiet work. What's that? I'm going back to school. Community college, business management, but the real kind. Not the tech bro startup bullshit. Actual management theory, operations, supply chain. The stuff you do. Linda and I exchanged looks. Why? I asked. Because I want to learn how to actually run a business. The right way, the honest way. He leaned on his rake. I'm not trying to be the next tech billionaire. I just want to build something sustainable, something I can be proud of. That's a good goal, Linda said carefully. I know I don't deserve your support. I know I burned that bridge, but if you were willing, maybe you could help me. Not money, just advice, experience, the things you learned that I was too arrogant to listen to before. I looked at my son, really looked at him. The arrogance was gone, the entitlement, the contempt. What was left was just a man trying to figure out how to live with himself. Yeah, I said. We can do that. Derek smiled, small, genuine. Thank you. That evening, the three of us sat at our kitchen table. Linda made coffee. Derek pulled out a notebook, and for the first time in years, we talked, really talked, about business, about ethics, about building something that lasted. It wasn't perfect. We weren't a happy family. Too much had been said and done for that. But we were something, and that was enough. For now. But I was wrong about Derek. He hadn't changed at all. He'd just gotten better at lying. The signs were small at first, easy to miss if you weren't looking for them. Derek started asking questions about my work, specific questions. What systems did we use? How was inventory tracked? What were the security protocols? I thought he was genuinely interested in learning the business. I thought we were bonding. Linda noticed first. "He's mining you for information," she said one night after Derek had left. "Those questions aren't about learning, they're about something else." "You're being paranoid." "Am I? When did Derek ever care about warehouse security protocols? When did he ever care about anything that didn't directly benefit him?" I wanted to argue. Wanted to believe that Derek had actually changed, that the months of apologies and humble dinners and honest work had been real. But Linda's instincts were rarely wrong. I started paying closer attention. The next time Derek visited, I watched how he asked questions, the way he'd casually probe for details about my company's operations, the way he'd steer conversations toward business vulnerabilities. "How does Midwest Logistics handle damaged goods?" he'd ask. "What's the write-off process?" Or, "Do you guys have problems with inventory shrinkage? How do you track missing items?" Or, "I bet your cybersecurity isn't great, right? Most older companies are pretty vulnerable." Questions that seemed innocent, but were actually reconnaissance. I tested him, fed him false information about a shipment schedule, said we were expecting a high-value electronics delivery on a specific day at a specific time. Completely fabricated. 3 days later, there was an attempted theft at the warehouse. Someone tried to breach the loading dock exactly when I'd said the valuable shipment would arrive. They used codes that would have worked if the schedule I'd mentioned had been real. Security caught them. The guy ran before they could get a good ID. But I knew. Derek had sold us out. I didn't confront him immediately. Instead, Linda and I started investigating. She pulled his phone records, legally through connections in her auditing work, found burner phones, multiple numbers, patterns of communication with people we didn't recognize. Derek wasn't working at a warehouse. He'd quit that job weeks ago. The story about community college? Also a lie. He'd never enrolled. Instead, he'd been running a new scam, using information from reformed relationships to target the people who'd trusted him. Small-scale fraud, identity theft, insurance schemes, and he was using us as his primary mark. "He's been planning this since the bridge," Linda said. Her voice was cold, analytical, the way she got when emotions threatened to interfere with clear thinking. "The suicide scare was staged. Everything after was manipulation. He saw that we'd soften if we thought he was broken, so he played broken." "You're sure?" She showed me the evidence. Bank records showing deposits that didn't match his supposed warehouse salary, email accounts using fake names, social media profiles he'd created under aliases. Derek had spent 6 months rebuilding our trust specifically so he could exploit it. I felt something crack inside me. Not anger, not even hurt. Something colder, more final. "We need to stop him," I said. "No." Linda closed her laptop with careful precision. "We need to destroy him." This time, we wouldn't be merciful. We wouldn't give him chances to reform or rebuild. We'd spent 6 months believing he could change, and he'd repaid that belief with more lies and manipulation. Derek had made one critical mistake. He thought we were soft. He thought because we'd helped him once, we'd always help him. He thought family meant unlimited forgiveness. He was about to learn different. Linda started building the case. She gathered every piece of evidence of Derek's current frauds, connected him to 3 different identity theft schemes, traced money he'd stolen from a former business partner who'd trusted his apology, found communications planning additional thefts. I handled the physical preparation. If Derek was planning something bigger, and all the evidence suggested he was, he'd need to make a move soon. Probably something involving my workplace, since that was his primary source of intel. I coordinated with Phil, told him everything. "Your own son," Phil said, disgusted. Jesus. "Yeah. What do you need?" "Help setting a trap. Something that looks valuable enough to be worth the risk. Then we catch him in the act." Phil thought about it. "We've got a shipment coming in next week. Medical equipment. Worth about $200,000. If your son knew about that..." "He'd try for it," I finished. "If we make it look vulnerable." We set it up carefully. I accidentally mentioned the shipment to Derek during our next dinner. Gave him just enough information to make it sound legitimate, but not so much that he'd suspect a trap. "Big delivery Tuesday night," I said casually. "Medical equipment for hospitals. Phil's stressed about security because of the value." Derek's eyes flickered. Interest. 200,000? Around there. Insurance is covering it, but still, he's worried about the overnight shift. We're short-staffed and the new security system won't be installed until next week. "Sounds risky," Derek said. "Too casual. Maybe you should suggest extra guards." "Phil won't pay for it. Budget constraints." I could see Derek's mind working, calculating, planning. "When exactly does it arrive?" he asked. "Tuesday, around 11 p.m. That was the lie. The actual shipment was coming Wednesday afternoon, but Derek didn't know that. Tuesday night, Phil and I were waiting at the warehouse. The building was dark except for minimal security lighting. We'd positioned cameras everywhere. Had police on standby 2 blocks away. Derek arrived at 10:30. He'd brought help this time. 2 other guys, both young, both trying too hard to look tough. They parked 3 streets away and approached on foot. We watched them on the security monitors. They cut through the fence, the section we'd deliberately left less secure, made their way to the loading dock, used an access code that would have worked if we hadn't changed it that afternoon. When the code failed, they tried to force the door. That's when we turned on all the lights. Derek froze like a deer in headlights. Literally. Every exterior light in the warehouse blazed on simultaneously. The 2 guys with him ran immediately. Smart. They'd figured out it was a trap. Derek tried to run too, but I was standing between him and the exit. "Going somewhere, son?" He stared at me, calculating whether he could push past, deciding he couldn't. "This isn't what it looks like," he said. "No? Because it looks like you used information I gave you in confidence to attempt to rob my workplace, after spending 6 months pretending to be reformed so you could get close enough to set this up. I needed the money. You don't understand the pressure. Stop." I was calm, completely calm. That's when I'm most dangerous. Don't try to explain, don't try to justify. You're caught. Accept it. Police sirens in the distance, getting closer. Derek's face went through several emotions: fear, anger, calculation, finally landing on something that looked almost like resignation. "You called the cops." "Of course I did. You're committing a felony." "I'm your son." "No," Linda said. She'd been standing in the shadows. Now she stepped into the light. "You stopped being our son the first time you betrayed us. Everything since then has just been confirming what we already knew. You're not capable of change. You're not capable of honesty. You're just a predator who uses family ties as camouflage." The police arrived. 3 cars, 6 officers. They arrested Derek quickly, efficiently, read him his rights while he stared at us with something that might have been hatred or might have been disbelief. As they put him in the patrol car, Derek shouted through the window, "You'll regret this! You're destroying your own son!" "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed yourself. We're just cleaning up the mess." The charges were serious: attempted burglary, criminal conspiracy, parole violation from previous fraud cases we hadn't even known about. Derek was looking at real prison time. Linda and I testified at his trial, showed the evidence, explained the pattern of manipulation. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, Guilty on all counts. Derek got 5 years. Minimum security, but still prison. He'd be 41 when he got out. At sentencing, the judge asked if we wanted to make a statement. Linda stood. Your Honor, Derek is my son. I gave birth to him, raised him, loved him. But he's also a con artist who has repeatedly victimized people who trusted him, including his own parents. He's shown no capacity for genuine remorse or change. 5 years isn't enough, but it's what the law allows. I hope he uses that time to actually reflect on his choices. But I'm not optimistic. The judge nodded. And the father? I stood. I have nothing to add. My wife said it all. After the sentencing, Derek was led away in handcuffs. He didn't look at us. In the parking lot, Linda and I sat in our car for a long time. How do you feel? She asked. Empty, I said. Like something important died, but I'm not sure what. Hope, maybe. The hope that family could overcome anything. Yeah, that. We drove home. Fixed dinner. Ate in silence. That night I slept better than I had in months. Derek sent letters from prison. Long letters explaining himself, justifying his actions, trying one last time to manipulate us into forgiving him. We read the first 2, then stopped. Some relationships can't be saved. Some people can't be redeemed. That's not cynicism. That's just reality. 6 months after Derek went to prison, Vanessa showed up at our door. I'm sorry, she said immediately. For everything. I know I was part of the problem. I encouraged Derek's worst impulses. I cared more about image than integrity. Linda crossed her arms. What do you want, Vanessa? Nothing. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did was wrong. I've been in therapy, working on myself, trying to be better. Good for you, I said flatly. I also wanted you to know that Derek hasn't changed. Even in prison, he's running schemes, manipulating other inmates, planning what he'll do when he gets out. She looked genuinely sad. I thought maybe time would help him see clearly, but it hasn't. He's just getting angrier. That's not surprising, Linda said. No, I guess not. Vanessa turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Turning him in. Some people need to face real consequences before they can change. Maybe Derek will figure it out eventually. Maybe, I said, but we won't be around to find out. She nodded and left. Life returned to normal. As normal as it could be after everything that happened. I kept working at the warehouse. Linda kept her auditing job. We fixed up the house, took a vacation to Colorado, rebuilt our lives without Derek in them. Sometimes people asked about him. Family members, old friends. He's in prison, we'd say simply, for theft and fraud. How awful. Are you supporting him? No. The questions usually stopped there. People didn't know how to respond to parents who'd cut off their son completely. But we didn't owe Derek anything. Not our time, not our money, not our emotional energy. He'd burned those bridges thoroughly. 3 years into Derek's sentence, he filed an appeal, claimed his trial had been unfair, that his parents had conspired against him. That evidence had been fabricated. It went nowhere. The appeals court rejected it within weeks. Derek tried to call us from prison. We blocked his number. He sent more letters. We returned them unopened. He tried to reach out through family members. We told them we weren't interested in reconciliation. Some people thought we were cruel, unforgiving. How could we abandon our own son? But those people hadn't been lied to for years. Hadn't been manipulated and exploited and betrayed repeatedly. Hadn't watched someone pretend to change while plotting new ways to hurt them. Those people didn't understand that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is walk away. Derek would be released in 2 more years. We wouldn't be there to pick him up. Wouldn't be providing a place to stay or help finding a job or any of the support ex-convicts typically need from family. He'd be on his own, completely. Maybe that would be the wake-up call he needed, or maybe he'd just find new people to manipulate and exploit. Either way, it wouldn't be our problem anymore. We'd done our part, raised him, loved him, given him chances, more chances than he deserved. He'd squandered all of it. Now he could live with the consequences, and we could finally live in peace. But peace wasn't what we got, because Derek had one final play, and it was worse than anything we'd imagined. The call came from a lawyer we didn't know, Christine Park, family law specialist. Mr. and Mrs. Foster, I'm representing your son Derek in a custody matter. Linda put the phone on speaker. What custody matter? Derek doesn't have kids. He does, actually. A daughter, Emma. She's 7 years old. Her mother recently died, and Derek is asserting his parental rights from prison. The world tilted. That's impossible, I said. Derek never mentioned a child. The relationship was brief, apparently. About 9 years ago, the mother, Jennifer Owens, raised Emma alone. No child support, no contact with Derek. But Jennifer died last month in a car accident, and her will designates Derek as Emma's father. Since he's the only living parent, custody defaults to him upon his release. He's in prison, Linda said sharply, for fraud and theft. I'm aware, which is why the court is looking for temporary placement until Derek's release in 18 months. Jennifer had no family, no siblings, parents deceased. Derek has requested that you and your husband serve as temporary guardians. Absolutely not, I said immediately. I understand this is a shock, but legally Derek has rights, and if family won't step up, Emma goes into foster care. Then she goes into foster care, Linda said. We're not responsible for Derek's secret child. She's your granddaughter. We didn't know she existed until 30 seconds ago. I understand. But Emma is 7 years old. She just lost her mother. Going into the foster system would be traumatic. Derek thought that despite your estrangement, you might be willing to help his daughter. After Ms. Park hung up, Linda and I sat in silence. He planned this, Linda finally said. Somehow, Derek planned this. How? The mother died in an accident. Did she? Linda opened her laptop, started searching. Derek's been in prison for 3 years. He'd have no way to engineer a car accident. Maybe it's just bad timing. Nothing with Derek is ever just bad timing. She found the accident report. Jennifer Owens, 34, died when her car slid off a mountain road during rain. Single vehicle accident. No witnesses. Ruled accidental. But Linda found something else. Jennifer's financial records. She'd taken out a large life insurance policy 6 months before she died. Unusual for a single mother working as a teacher. Who's the beneficiary? I asked. Linda clicked through. Emma, the daughter, with Derek as the designated guardian of the funds until Emma turns 18. There it was, Derek's angle. He convinced her to take out the policy, I said. Somehow, from prison. They corresponded, Linda said, pulling up more information. Jennifer visited Derek twice last year, letters back and forth. He probably sold her some story about wanting to be in his daughter's life, about reforming, about how he wanted to make sure Emma was provided for. Then he arranged the accident. We can't prove that, but yes, I think so. So we tell the lawyer no, Emma goes to foster care. Derek gets nothing. Linda stared at the screen, at the picture she'd found of Emma, 7 years old with dark hair and Derek's eyes, smiling in a school photo. She's innocent in all this, Linda said quietly. I know. She didn't ask to have Derek as a father. I know. If we don't take her, she goes into foster care. That's not a good system. She could end up anywhere, with anyone. I know. Damn it. Linda closed the laptop. We can't let her suffer because of Derek. So we take her? We take her, but not for Derek, for her. Linda's jaw was set. And if Derek thinks this gives him leverage over us, he's wrong. We'll protect Emma from him. Not because he wants us to, in spite of him. The paperwork took 2 weeks. Background checks, home visits, interviews with social workers, everything to ensure we were suitable guardians for a child we'd never met. Emma arrived on a Tuesday. A social worker brought her to our house with 2 suitcases containing everything she owned. She was small for 7, dark hair in a ponytail, wearing jeans and a purple sweater. She looked terrified. "Hi, Emma," Linda said gently. "I'm your grandmother. This is your grandfather." Emma stared at us with wide eyes. "My mommy died." "I know, sweetie. I'm so sorry. Are you going to die too?" Linda's face softened. "No, honey. We're not going to die. We're going to take care of you. My daddy is in prison." "Yes." "The lady said he did bad things." "He did. Are you bad too?" "No," I said. "We're not bad. We're just sad. About a lot of things. But we're going to do our best to take care of you." Emma considered this. "Can I have my own room?" "Yes, we set one up for you. Would you like to see it?" She nodded. Linda took Emma upstairs. I carried the suitcases. The room we'd prepared was small but cheerful. Yellow walls, new bed with a floral comforter, stuffed animals we'd bought in a panic at Target. Emma walked around the room slowly, touching things. The bed, the desk, the bookshelf. "It's nice," she said finally. "I'm glad you like it," Linda said. "Are you hungry? We could make dinner." "What kind of dinner?" "What do you like?" "Mommy used to make spaghetti." "I can make spaghetti." Emma nodded. Then she sat on the bed and started crying. Quiet, sad tears that made my chest ache. Linda sat next to her, put an arm around her shoulders. "It's okay to cry. You miss your mommy." "I miss her so much." "I know. Is she really never coming back?" "No, honey, she's not." Emma cried harder. Linda held her and let her cry. I stood in the doorway feeling completely useless. I'd raised a son, but that was 30 years ago, and I'd apparently done a terrible job of it given how Derek turned out. How were we supposed to raise his daughter? That first night was rough. Emma didn't want to sleep alone. Linda sat in her room until she fell asleep, then crept out quietly. An hour later, Emma was in our room, standing next to the bed. "I had a bad dream." Linda pulled back the covers. "Come here." Emma climbed in between us. She was so small, so fragile. She fell asleep almost immediately, one hand clutching Linda's shirt. "What are we doing?" I whispered. "The right thing," Linda whispered back. "I think." The next few weeks were an adjustment. Emma went to her new school, 2nd grade at the local elementary. She was quiet, teachers said. Didn't make friends easily, still grieving. At home, she was similarly reserved, polite, careful, like she was worried about being too much trouble. "You can relax," Linda told her. "This is your home now. You're safe here." "Until my daddy gets out?" "Even after that." "Then I have to go live with him?" "We'll figure that out when the time comes." Emma's face suggested she didn't want to live with Derek. She'd never even met him. He was just a name. A man in prison who was supposedly her father. "Did you know my daddy?" Emma asked me one evening. We were doing dishes together while Linda helped her with homework at the kitchen table. "Yes, he's my son." "Is he nice?" I thought about how to answer that. Decided on honesty. "Not really. He makes bad choices and hurts people." "Oh." Emma was quiet for a moment. "Will I be like him?" "No. You get to choose what kind of person you'll be. Your father doesn't define you." "How do you know?" "Because I've seen good people come from bad families and bad people come from good families. It's about choices." Emma seemed to accept this. "I want to be good." "Then you will be." 2 months in, Derek called from prison. I don't know how he got our number. We'd changed it. But somehow he managed. Linda answered. "Don't call here. I want to talk to Emma." "No. She's my daughter." "You've never met her. You have no relationship with her. You're only claiming her now because of the insurance money." "That's not true. I care about her." "You cared enough to let her mother raise her alone for 7 years with no support. You can't prove that." "Maybe not. But I don't have to. Emma is safe with us, away from you, and that's how it's going to stay. When you get out, we'll fight you in court. We'll show every judge in the state what kind of person you are. Emma will testify that she doesn't want to live with you. You'll lose. She's 7. Her testimony doesn't matter. We'll see. Linda hung up. That night, she filed paperwork to adopt Emma. Legal adoption would supersede Derek's parental rights and give us permanent custody. He'll fight it, I said. Let him. We have better lawyers and a much better case. He's a convicted felon calling from prison trying to claim a daughter he's never met so he can access her trust fund. No judge will side with him. The adoption process took months. Derek opposed it from prison, claimed he had rights, that we were alienating him from his daughter. The judge was unimpressed. Mr. Foster, you have no relationship with this child. You've provided no support, financial or emotional, for her entire life. Your only interest seems to be the substantial trust fund established by her mother's life insurance policy. The grandparents, by contrast, have provided a stable, loving home. The adoption is granted. Just like that, Emma was ours, legally, permanently. Derek couldn't touch her. We told Emma that night. She was watching TV in the living room when Linda sat down next to her. Emma, sweetie, we need to tell you something. Your grandfather and I adopted you. That means you're officially our daughter now, forever. Emma looked up. What about my daddy? He's still your biological father, but he doesn't have legal custody anymore. You live with us now, permanently. What if he comes here when he gets out of prison? He's not allowed to. The judge said so. Emma processed this. Then she smiled. Small but genuine. Good. I like living here. We like having you here, I said. Can I call you Grandpa and Grandma? If you want to. Okay. She turned back to the TV. Can we have ice cream? Sure, kid. Linda got up to get the ice cream. I sat next to Emma on the couch. She leaned against me, small and trusting. Derek had meant Emma to be his ticket to financial security, a way to manipulate us into supporting him. A final scam. Instead, she'd become something real, something good, maybe the only good thing Derek had ever created, even if he'd done it by accident. Derek was released from prison 18 months later. He showed up at our house the day after his release. I answered the door. Hello, Derek. Where's my daughter? At school. I want to see her. No. She's my daughter. Was your daughter. We adopted her. You have no rights. I'll fight that in court. You can try. You'll lose. Again. Derek's face twisted. You've taken everything from me, my business, my freedom, my daughter. Are you happy now? Honestly? Yes, I'm very happy. Emma is thriving. She's doing great in school, has friends, feels safe, all things she wouldn't have with you. You can't keep her from me forever. Actually, we can. There's a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of Emma or this house. If you violate it, you go back to prison. You're poison, Derek said. Both of you. You're bitter, small people who destroyed me because I dared to be more than you. No, Linda said. She'd appeared behind me. We're people who held you accountable for your actions. There's a difference. I hope you're happy, Derek said. You've won. Completely. I have nothing. No money, no prospects, no family, nothing. You had chances, I said. Multiple chances. You chose to keep lying and manipulating instead of actually changing. This is the result. Derek stared at us for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. We never saw him again. We heard about him, though. Through family. Through the occasional news story. Derek tried to start another company. It failed immediately. No one would work with him. His reputation was too damaged. He tried to get jobs, got fired repeatedly when employers discovered his history. He ended up homeless for a while, living in shelters, begging. Some family members urged us to help him. He's your son. He's family. He stopped being family a long time ago, Linda would say. Eventually, Derek disappeared. No one knew where he went. Maybe he left the state. Maybe he found some new scam to run somewhere else. Maybe he finally hit bottom hard enough to actually change. We didn't care. Emma was 9 now, doing well, happy, healthy. She never asked about Derek. She had a real family now, us. "Do you ever feel guilty?" Linda asked one night. "About Derek?" "No. Do you?" "No." She was quiet for a moment. Is that wrong? To not feel guilty about our own son? He made his choices. We made ours. We chose Emma. We chose peace. I don't regret that. Me neither. Upstairs, Emma was asleep in her room, safe, loved, protected from the chaos her biological father would have brought into her life. Derek had meant her to be a weapon, a way to hurt us one final time. Instead, she'd become our redemption. Proof that we could raise a child right when given a second chance. We'd failed with Derek. That failure would always hurt. But Emma was our success story, and Derek would never touch that.